Good morning, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Grandpop and a cup of tea coming to you from the living room in Jacksonville Beach. And we're once again in the Net Bible Reader's Edition. Today we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 25. There's 3 subjects in it. It's a transitional chapter. We go from Abraham and his son Isaac on to the beginning of the next very fascinating part of the Bible, which is Jacob and in particular, and Jacob and Esau in general. So we're going to look at the death of Abraham, then we're going to look at the descendants of Ishmael, because there's descendants come into play time and again through the next few chapters. And then we're going to look at the birth of the twins, Jacob and Esau. Chapter 25 starts. Abraham had taken another wife named Keturah. And whenever the Bible does this, they bring up a person who really you don't think has any direct impact on the story. They always do it for a reason. I mean, the Bible is this thick. If it had the whole story in it, it would be just to the moon. So it picks and chooses the parts of the story that it tells you. And some people will say, well, it's not true because they left this out. Well, they have to leave a lot of stuff out. But we're going to see that this is germane to the story here, this woman, Keturah. And he had other wives too, concubines. So Abraham had taken another wife named Keturah. She bore him Zimram, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. So I don't know when he took this other wife, but if it was after Sarah died, he was over 100 years old. Yeah, your grandpa, if something happens to your grandmother, God forbid, I'm not going to be out looking for another wife. Trust me. She bore him Zimram, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan. Descendants of Dedan were the Asherites, Letushites, and Laamites. The sons of Midian were Ephah, Hanak, Abida, and Eldah. All these were descendants of Keturah. Abraham lived a total of 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man who had lived a full life. He joined his ancestors. And that's what the Bible says. Sometimes they'll say buried with their ancestors, but in this case, he's not going to be buried with his ancestors. He's only going to be buried with his wife. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre, in the field of Ephron the son of Zohar the Hittite. This was the field Abraham had purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with his wife Sarah. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac. Isaac lived near Beer Lahai Roi, as opposed to Hey Beer, Hey Leroy. Your grandpa's a funny man. But remember, what happens in through the Bible with grandpa stays, and through the Bible with Grandma. Don't be telling your grandmother anything, because I don't think she watches these videos. Now we're going to look at the sons of Ishmael. This is the account of Abraham's son Ishmael, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's servant, bore to Abraham. And if you remember a couple chapters back, that God promised Hagar that she would make Ishmael into a great nation, that there would be many descendants. These are the name of Ishmael's sons, by their names according to their records: Nebaioth, Ishmael's firstborn; Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad. I wonder if he got that name because he was always going like, "Hey, Dad." He was an annoying kid. Tema, Jeter, Naphish, and Kedema. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their settlements and their camps: 12 princes according to their clans. And 12 winds up being a big number in the Bible. There's going to be 12 tribes of Israel. So that's the next generation down. And these are the 12 tribes of Ishmael. And then in the Bible, there's the 12 apostles and the 12 elders in the book of Revelation. "12 gates in the city." Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. Ishmael lived a total of 137 years. He breathed his last and died. Then he joined his ancestors. His descendants settled from Havilah to Shur, which runs next to Egypt, all the way to Asher. They settled away from all their relatives, and that was what God had said, that he would be a wild man, and that he would produce a lot of offsprings, but he would live far away from his relatives. Next, let's look at the birth of Jacob and Esau, the twins. Now, before we get started, I want to mention that normally in this culture, descendancy flowed through the oldest son, but we see that time and again what God does is he says, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it using the younger son, just to show that I'm the one that's in control. Tradition isn't in control. God is. So this is one of these instances. And you might ask, well, if these are twins, how can there be an older and a younger one? But we'll let the Bible tell us. This is the account of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean from Paddan Aram, and sister of Laban, the Aramean. And Laban is going to take a bigger part in this in the future. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. But the children struggled inside her, and she said, if it is going to be like this, I'm not so sure I want to be pregnant, with an exclamation point. And Olive, you're still inside your mom, and I felt you kick the other day. I don't think I ever felt you, Arlo. And I know, well, I'm pretty sure I never felt you kick Frank and your mom. That was never offered to me. But my sons, Frank and Tom, I felt them kick inside your grandmother. Now, not my current wife, not the person you call grandmother. I'm talking about your biological grandmother. So she asked the Lord, and the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples will be separated from within you. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. When the time came for Rebekah to give birth, there were twins in her womb. The first came out reddish all over like a hairy garment, and they named him Esau, and that means hairy. So I guess it's like, well, we were going to call him Harry, but look at him. We're going to call him Harry. When his brother came out with his hand clutching Esau's heel, they named him Jacob. And so as the first baby came out, Harry came out, then heel catcher had a hold of his heel, going like, I want to get out there. I'm gonna drag you back in, or something like that. And so they called him heel catcher, Jacob. And that's what that means. Now God's going to change his name to Israel at some point in time later in the Bible, but for right now, he's heel catcher. So you have the twins. Here's my twin sons, Harry and heel catcher. Isaac was 60 years old when they were born. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skilled hunter, a man of the open fields, but Jacob was an even-tempered man, living in tents. Uh, yeah, there's an Indian chief that goes to a psychiatrist, and he says, psychiatrist goes, what seems to be the problem, chief? And he says, sometimes feel him like a wigwam, sometimes feel him like teepee. And the psychiatrist says, you're too tense. So, living in tents. Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for fresh game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. I'm going to do a video in the near future on marriage advice and raising kids. Very bad for parents to favor one child over another. You know, maybe in your heart of heart, you're going to have to. Maybe you have one that just always is doing the right thing, and one that's always doing the wrong thing. But you have to love them the same, and you have to treat them the same as much as you can. As much as you can. But this is obvious that dad likes Harry and mom likes heel catcher. Now Jacob cooked some stew, and when Esau came in from the open fields, he was famished. So Esau said to Jacob, feed me some of the red stuff. Yes, this red stuff, because I'm starving. That is why he was also called Edom. And the Edomites are the descendants of him. And that means red, Edom. But Jacob replied, first sell me your birthright. Look, said Esau, I'm about to die. What use is the birthright to me? But Jacob said, swear an oath to me now. So Esau swore an oath to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and lentil stew. Esau ate and drank. Then he got up and went out. So Esau despised his birthright. So he sold it for a bowl of beans just because he was hungry. Now, we're going to see that Jacob is far from perfect, but Esau is far, far from perfect. That's one of the things about the Bible. It shows the blemishes of the heroes in the Bible. We're coming to a fascinating section of the Bible as these guys go on with their lives, and as Isaac gets ready to die, we're going to see something that happens that changes the course of history. Anyway, until then, peace out.